All right, let's dive into this
Yeah.
UK Government AI Playbook.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 117 pages here,
Huh?
all about AI strategy,
Straight off the press from February.
fresh off the press this month. And it's
Yeah,
quite a,
it's an interesting read, actually.
yeah,
It's not just a dry, like,
it's not just like a,
here's the tech.
yeah, a how-to manual.
Yeah.
It's really like a,
Yeah, it's a statement of intent, I think.
it's like a, yeah, a vision
Yeah.
for AI.
This is how we
Yeah.
see AI shaping the future of the UK.
Yeah, and they're aiming for like some pretty
And I'm messing around.
serious impacts.
Mhm.
They want to boost productivity,
Yeah.
streamline services,
Huge productivity boost. Yeah.
revolutionize healthcare.
Even revolutionizing healthcare with AI.
But they're not just like throwing AI at every problem. Like
Yeah.
it's not just a
Yeah, it's not just a
tech solution for everything.
It's not a hammer looking for a nail, is it?
No, and the playbook actually starts with
Mm-hmm.
these 10 guiding principles.
Yeah.
And some of them are actually
No,
surprisingly grounded.
Yeah, there's a real, I think, a refreshing level of caution there, actually.
Okay.
If you take Principle 6, for example,
Okay.
the right tool for the right job,
Okay.
they actually cite specific instances where they chose not to use AI because a simpler solution was more effective.
Okay. So it's not just about
Yeah.
blindly adopting the latest
No,
shiny new tech.
it's about being pragmatic.
Yeah. It's about
Yeah.
really thinking about what's best for
Absolutely.
the given situation.
Yeah.
Um,
And then there's Principle 7,
okay.
open and collaborative,
Okay.
which is all about transparency
Transparency.
in how they use AI,
How they're using AI.
even collaborating with the public on its development,
Wow.
which is that's pretty bold vision, actually.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine a future where citizens actually have a say
Yeah.
in how AI is being used
Yeah.
to deliver government services.
Yeah, to shape policy.
To shape policies.
That's a whole different level of engagement.
Do you think they can pull that off?
It'll be interesting to see how they try and implement that.
Yeah.
But the commitment's there,
Okay.
and the commitment to transparency is there.
Okay.
They even talk about publishing details about their AI systems.
Okay.
What data they use, how they make decisions.
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
wonder how that's going to actually work in practice.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about like
Sensitive data.
sensitive data. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, they've got these principles.
Yeah. But what does it actually look like?
Yeah. What does AI actually look like in this playbook?
Yeah.
Do they explain the technology?
Do they break down the tech?
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually do a pretty good job
Uh-huh.
of breaking it down for, normal people.
Okay.
They cover the basics.
Yeah.
Like neural networks,
Okay.
machine learning,
Uh-huh.
but they also get into more cutting-edge stuff,
Okay.
like deep learning
Okay.
and generative AI.
Generative AI. That's like the
Yeah.
hot topic right now.
That's the one that's been
Yeah.
all over the news lately.
It's like ChatGPT.
Chat GPT, yeah.
Oh, that
all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
It does feel like magic sometimes.
it's kind of like magic.
The way it can just
Like pulling
generate images
and images out of thin air.
thin air.
And the playbook actually explores
Okay.
how this kind of AI could revolutionize government work.
Okay. Yeah.
Imagine being able to summarize complex policy documents instantly.
Yeah. It'd be
Yeah.
amazing. Or like,
Or drafting responses to public inquiries automatically.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would free up so much time.
Yeah. It could free up a lot of time for civil servants to focus on
Yeah.
more strategic work. But I also remember reading about some of the problems with this kind of AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the
Potential for bias.
de-bias.
Or even making stuff up.
Or just make things up.
Like they call it hallucinating.
Hallucinating. Which is a slightly creepy term when you think about it.
It is a little creepy.
Yeah. And the playbook acknowledges that.
Okay.
They highlight a case where a generative AI model was trained on a data set of legal documents.
Okay.
And it started producing these biased outputs,
Okay.
favoring certain legal interpretations over others.
That's
So
okay.
they're aware of the risks.
They are aware of the risks,
Yeah.
but what are they going to do about it?
Well, they emphasize the need for
Yeah.
careful oversight and testing.
Okay.
They're not just going to let these AI systems loose without making sure they're producing reliable and unbiased results.
It's like It's like you wouldn't just hand over the keys to a self-driving car and say,
see you later.
yeah, see ya.
Yeah.
You want
to be sure it's been tested.
You want to
thoroughly
make sure that it's been tested, and there's a way to take control if things go wrong.
Absolutely.
So it's about using AI as a tool.
It is, yeah.
Not a replacement for...
It's not a replacement for human judgment.
Yeah.
It's about augmenting
human
capabilities.
Yeah.
And the playbook's actually full of real-world examples of how AI is already being used in different government departments.
So they're not just...
So it's not all just theory.
It's not just theory. They're actually
putting these ideas into practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some of those examples. What kind of things are they actually doing with AI right now?
Well, one interesting example is the gov.uk chat.
Gov.uk chat.
What's that? So they're using AI to create a chatbot.
That can help people navigate that massive gov.uk website.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because that website can be...
It can be a bit of a maze.
A maze, yeah.
So this could potentially make it easier for people to find the information they need.
Yeah, especially like people who aren't...
Especially people who...
Maybe as tech savvy.
And aren't as tech savvy.
Yeah.
Or, people with disabilities.
Or maybe even like older generations.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who might not...
Aren't as comfortable with.
Be as comfortable. Using technology.
Using technology.
Yeah.
So that could be really...
It could be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also the issue of...
But of course.
What about people who don't even have...
Access to the internet.
Or
just aren't comfortable. Using technology.
Full stop.
Yeah.
And the playbook actually acknowledges this and stresses that any AI-powered solutions need to be designed with accessibility and inclusivity in mind.
So it's not just about building the...
It's not just about the shiny new tech. It's about making sure it benefits everyone.
It benefits everyone.
Not just a select few.
And that seems to be kind of
that's a theme.
A running theme.
That runs through this whole playbook, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about...
Well, another compelling example is how the Department for Work and Pensions is using AI to identify vulnerable individuals who might need urgent support.
Okay.
They call it the white male scanner.
White male scanner.
And it analyzes a huge volume of documents to flag potential cases.
So that sounds like it could...
That sounds like it could be really powerful.
Yeah.
Especially for those who...
Especially for people who might be falling through the cracks.
Might be falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
But again...
But what about...
You got to make sure...
That these systems...
Potential for mistakes.
Don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Or misinterpret information.
Misinterpreting information.
Which could lead to...
And then having actually like...
harmful consequences. Yeah.
And again, the playbook highlights the importance of human oversight.
Human oversight.
In these kinds of systems.
So the AI is really there to...
AI is a tool to assist human decision-making, not to replace it entirely.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's not just about...
They emphasize that any system that impacts individuals' lives needs to have robust checks and balances in place.
Checks and balances. Yeah. Okay.
Then if we look at the NHS. They have a pilot program called the NHS User Research Finder.
User Research Finder.
Which uses AI to help healthcare workers find relevant research more easily.
So it's basically sifting through.
Yeah, it's sifting through a massive database of research papers.
That's research papers.
And articles. To identify those that are most pertinent to a specific query.
Okay, so that could be a...
huge time saver for...
Yeah, a huge time saver.
Researchers.
For researchers.
Yeah.
Potentially lead to.
And potentially lead to better and faster...
Better healthcare innovations.
Healthcare innovation.
Yeah.
But of course...
But of course, what if the system misses...
Misses important research...
Or prioritizes certain studies over others.
Yeah, or prioritizes certain studies based on whatever its algorithm is. Yeah. So again, it's about...
How do we make sure that researchers are still transparency?
Exposed to a
diverse range of perspectives.
To ensure they're not creating unintended biases or limiting access to important information.
And then also like training researchers to... like critically evaluate...
Yeah, to be able to critically evaluate... The output of any AI-powered research tool.
Yeah, so it's not just about...
It's about
throwing AI...
Integrating it
thoughtfully into
Comfortably.
existing workflows and processes with the right checks and balances.
So it sounds like it's a
they're really trying to strike a balance between innovation and caution.
It's a tough needle to thread.
It is a tough needle to thread.
But it sounds like they're
at least
trying to do it right.
Yeah, they're making a good attempt.
And that's a theme that runs through the whole playbook, actually.
Okay.
They are excited about the potential of AI.
I'm also curious about like the actual process of building these solutions.
Right.
Because it's not
just a matter of
just snapping your fingers.
Snapping your fingers and saying,
Alexa, build me
build me an AI government.
An AI government.
Right.
Right. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And the playbook actually gets into the nitty-gritty of building AI solutions.
Okay.
They break down the process
Okay.
into different stages.
Okay.
From user research
Okay.
to team building
Okay.
to procurement.
Okay.
It's like a step-by-step guide.
It's like a how-to.
Yeah, it's a how-to guide for government departments who are looking to implement AI responsibly.
So let's dig into that a little bit.
Well,
what are some of the key steps?
Well, they start by emphasizing the importance of user research.
User research. Okay.
Yeah.
So
before you even think about building an AI system,
you need to understand the needs.
Understand to the people.
The needs of the people
who are going to be using it.
Who are going to be using it.
What problems are you trying to solve?
What problem are you even trying to solve?
Yeah.
What are the
potential benefits?
Potential
risks.
Benefits and risks.
It's about putting people.
It's about putting people
at the center of
the design process.
It's like before you build a house.
Before you build a house,
you need to know. Who's going to live there. What
their needs are.
Your needs are.
You don't just start.
Yeah, you don't just start
throwing up walls
and hope for the best.
And
then there's the whole issue of
building the right team.
And
they emphasize the need for multidisciplinary teams.
Okay.
That include not just technical experts,
but also
ethicists, legal experts, user experience designers,
UX designers.
Yeah.
So it's about bringing
together a diverse set of perspectives.
To
ensure that the AI system is designed and implemented responsibly. So it's not just about
the tech. It's about the people who are building it.
It's about the people.
And the people who are going to be using it. You need to consider
all
the ethical and social implications of AI.
Not just the technical challenges. Right?
And then there's also...
And then, of course, there's the data.
The data,
The AI systems.
And AI systems are only as good as...
the data they're trained on.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you have access.
Yeah, you need access to it.
To high-quality data. That's relevant to the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah. It's garbage in.
Garbage in.
Garbage out.
Garbage out.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also need to...
And then, of course, you need to make sure that the data is being used responsibly and ethically.
Yeah.
And they will actually have a whole section on data governance.
Okay.
Which outlines the principles for collecting, storing, and using data. In a way that protects privacy and security.
So they're not just saying, hey, go build
some AI and...
Hey, go build some AI and we'll figure out the details later. They're actually providing a framework for... doing it right. From the very beginning. And that's what makes this
playbook so interesting.
It's not just
a technical document.
Yeah, it's not just a technical...
It's a philosophical one.
It's
about defining the values.
Yeah.
That will guide the UK's approach to AI development.
It's a philosophy of AI. It sounds like they're trying to
strike a balance.
between
embracing the potential
of
AI while also being aware of the risks.
Yeah.
And being cautious.
It is a tough needle to thread.
But it sounds like
they're
at least trying
to do it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more than I can say for
some other countries.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear what you think about the risks of AI.
All right. Well,
because they certainly don't shy away from them.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about that.
Let's do it.
So we've seen how the UK government is already using AI and, they're thinking about how to build these systems responsibly. But what about the potential downsides?
The risks.
Yeah. The playbook doesn't exactly shy away from the risks, does it?
Yeah, not at all. They dedicate a significant chunk of the playbook to navigating those potential pitfalls.
Okay.
And one of the big ones, as you might expect, is bias.
Bias. Okay.
They acknowledge that AI systems can perpetuate existing inequalities if they're not carefully designed and monitored.
It's like that old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. If you train an AI on biased data, you're going to get biased results.
And that could have
really serious consequences.
Serious consequences, particularly in areas like...
Yeah, especially in areas like...
law enforcement.
Or social services.
Social services, yeah.
I mean...
They actually mention a scenario
where an AI system is used for parole decisions.
Okay.
And it could unintentionally discriminate against certain groups.
Because?
If it's trained on historical data that reflects existing biases in the criminal justice system.
Okay, so that's
a pretty sobering thought.
Yeah, it's a little bit
scary. So how do they propose to address this?
Yeah, how do they...
Are they just hoping for the best? Or do they have some concrete ideas?
So what are their strategies for?
Well, they outline several strategies for mitigating bias.
Okay.
One key aspect is ensuring diversity.
Diversity.
In the teams that develop and test these systems.
So, like, a team...
argue that a team with a wide range of perspectives is more likely...
is more likely to catch those.
To identify and address potential biases.
Blind spots.
Exactly.
But it's not just...
It's not just about the people.
About the people.
Building the systems.
Building the systems. It's also
about the data.
About the data itself.
Right.
So they talk about the importance of using diverse representative data sets.
To
train AI systems.
Okay.
They also stress the need for ongoing monitoring and auditing to ensure that these systems aren't...
So it's like being
biased output.
Proactive.
Yeah. It's about just building in safeguards.
Yeah. Not just waiting for something to go wrong.
You mean proactive. Yeah.
But bias isn't the only risk that they're worried about.
Right? No. They're not just worried about bias. They also talk about security concerns.
Okay. Security concerns?
They acknowledge that AI systems can be vulnerable to attacks.
Just like any
other computer system.
And the potential consequences of a successful attack
could be
huge.
Yeah.
Especially if these systems are handling sensitive government data.
Right. Or like controlling
critical infrastructure.
Critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
That would be a nightmare.
That would be a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. So
how are they going to protect these systems from...
How do they plan to protect these systems?
Hackers. Malicious actors. All the bad guys. So what's their plan?
Well, they outline a multi-layered approach to security.
Okay.
Starting at the design phase. They're advocating for building security in.
Turning it in?
Yeah, baking security
from the beginning
to the very foundation of these systems.
Well,
rather than treating it as an afterthought.
Yeah, not as an afterthought. So it's like
building a house.
With a strong foundation.
Foundations.
Rather than trying to patch up the cracks.
Later.
After it's already built.
Yeah. They also talk about the importance of
ongoing monitoring and testing. To identify and address vulnerabilities.
Okay.
And they emphasize the need for clear protocols for incident response.
Okay, so if an attack does happen...
Yes, they can quickly contain and mitigate the damage.
Yeah, contain it and mitigate the damage. Okay.
I am curious about one thing.
What's that?
We talked earlier about generative AI.
We did, yeah.
And how it can sometimes hallucinate or make things up.
Yeah.
Is that something they're concerned about?
Absolutely.
Because it seems like
they acknowledge...
It's a big problem.
...that generative AI can create... very convincing but false information.
Yeah.
And they actually highlight a case Okay.
where a generative AI model
Okay.
was designed to assist with legal research.
Okay.
And it produced this fabricated legal precedent that sounded very real, but was completely made up.
Oh,
So that's a bit unnerving.
It's a bit unnerving.
Yeah.
I mean, if even the experts can be fooled.
Yeah, if the experts...
Those we trust.
Anything these systems produce.
How can we trust?
That seems like
anything.
A huge problem.
Yeah, it is a valid concern.
Yeah.
And the playbook stresses the need for human oversight.
Human oversight.
Especially
when using generative AI.
When you're using generative AI for tasks that require a high degree of accuracy.
Okay.
Or have potentially serious consequences.
So it's about
acknowledging
the limitations of AI.
The limitations, not treating it as a magic bullet.
Treating it as a magic bullet.
Yeah.
It is a powerful tool.
But you have to...
But it needs to be used responsibly.
Use it responsibly.
And with careful oversight.
Yeah,
it's like...
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that brings us to another really crucial aspect that they emphasize.
Okay.
Which is data protection and privacy.
Data protection and privacy, okay.
AI systems often rely on vast amounts of data.
Okay.
And some of that data could be very personal.
It's sensitive.
And sensitive. They're very clear that protecting people's data.
That protecting people's data
is paramount.
Is non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's not just about...
It's not just about...
complying with regulations.
Complying with the regulations.
But about respecting people.
Respecting people's fundamental...
Yeah.
Right to privacy.
Right to privacy. Even in the age of AI.
The age of AI.
So how do they actually do that?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, these systems are often like...
Yeah, these systems are often like black boxes.
Black boxes. It's hard to even know.
Yeah, you don't know what they're doing with the data.
What they're doing with the data.
Let alone control it.
Right.
Right. So how do they...
And they acknowledge that complexity.
Yeah.
But they also lay out some pretty specific steps for ensuring data privacy.
Data privacy, okay.
They talk about things like data minimization. Only collecting.
So only collect...
the data you absolutely need.
Which you need.
And anonymization. Making sure that you can't
identify
individuals from the data.
So it's about being thoughtful.
Yeah, it's about being thoughtful.
And deliberate.
About
how you use the data. Not just
hoovering up.
Yeah, hoovering up
everything you can get your hands on.
Yeah. But I'm also curious about accountability.
Accountability.
I mean, if something goes wrong.
Yeah, if something goes wrong.
Who's responsible?
Is it
the AI?
Is it the AI?
Is it the people who built it?
The people who built it.
Is it the government department that's using it?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And they address it head on.
Okay.
They emphasize the need for clear lines of accountability.
So there are...
for AI systems.
Actual humans.
They talk about designating specific individuals or teams.
Okay.
Who are responsible.
For making sure... deployment, and ongoing monitoring of these systems.
Yeah.
So it's not just about letting the AI...
It's not just to set it and forget it.
Run wild.
Yeah.
And hoping for the best.
There
are actual humans.
Yeah.
Who are responsible for making sure it's being used ethically and responsibly.
And they also talk about...
the importance of transparency. They advocate for making information about AI systems publicly available.
So that people can
understand
how they work.
How these systems work.
Yeah, and how their data is being used.
It's
like, if we don't know how they work.
If we don't understand how they work.
Like, can we trust them?
How can we trust them?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
But I'm also wondering about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, this playbook is focused on the UK government.
It is focused on the UK government.
But AI is like a global phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a global phenomenon.
Are they thinking about?
Absolutely. They have a whole section
international implications.
On international collaboration.
Okay.
They acknowledge that AI doesn't respect borders.
Right. It doesn't stop at borders.
And that we need to work together
to address
the challenges.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that it presents.
So are they trying to?
So they want to be a leader.
Be a leader in shaping
those solutions.
Those global solutions.
Which is ambitious.
It is ambitious.
But also makes sense.
Yeah.
Given their history of innovation.
Yeah. So it's not just about...
It's not just about
Protecting the UK's interests.
The UK's interests.
It's about being...
It's about being a responsible global citizen.
Global citizen.
And helping to make sure...
And making sure that AI is used.
That AI is used for good.
Yeah, for good, not for harm.
Not for harm.
On a global scale.
On a worldwide scale.
Yeah.
And they're laser focused.
And they're...
On issues like bias and discrimination.
Yeah, making sure that these systems are...
Making sure that these systems are fair.
Fair.
And inclusive.
No matter where they're used.
Yeah, no matter where they're used. We've already seen examples of...
Because we've seen how AI can amplify.
How AI can amplify.
Existing inequalities.
Existing inequalities.
Even in things like facial recognition.
Even in things like facial recognition. Which seems harmless.
On the surface.
On the surface.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not.
I mean, it's a bit like...
It is a bit like...
The genie's out of the bottle.
The genie's out of the bottle.
At this point.
Yeah, at this point.
AI development.
AI development is happening everywhere.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere.
At such a fast pace.
It's such a fast pace.
It's hard to keep up.
It's hard to even keep up.
Let alone
get everyone to agree.
Get everyone to agree.
On like an ethical framework?
On the same ethical framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
It is a huge challenge.
It seems like
But the UK is taking it seriously.
Yeah.
They're committing resources.
Okay.
And they're not alone.
Okay.
There's a growing global movement of people and organizations. That's encouraging.
Dedicated to making sure that AI is a force for good.
That gives me some hope.
It should give you some hope.
Yeah. That's good.
We may not have all the answers yet.
Yeah.
But at least we're asking the right questions.
We are asking the right questions.
And this playbook, even if it's just a starting point, shows a willingness to grapple with those questions head on.
They're at least acknowledging the problems.
They are acknowledging the problems.
Yeah, and they're thinking about solutions.
Yeah,
okay.
So what happens next?
Yeah, what happens next?
This playbook is just a document, right?
It's just a document.
It's not going to
magically fix everything.
Change anything on its own.
Right.
No.
So
the real test will be how they implement these recommendations.
Okay, so how they implement these recommendations.
They talk about the need for ongoing monitoring and evaluation.
Ongoing monitoring and evaluation.
To make sure that these principles are actually being put into practice.
So are they going to
They also stress the importance of engaging with stakeholders.
Like industry
experts.
Civil society groups.
The
public and the public.
To get feedback.
And
make adjustments.
As needed. So it's not just like...
So it's not a one and done deal.
Yeah, it's not a one and done. Ongoing process of learning and adaptation. Yeah. And they acknowledge... that this is just the beginning...
of the conversation. Yeah.
They see this playbook as a living document. That will evolve as the field of AI develops. And as we learn more... about its potential benefits... and the risks.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good note to end on.
It is a good note to end on.
It's refreshing to see a government.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see a government
that's not only thinking about
the future of AI. But also willing to admit.
That
they don't have all the answers.
Which
is a humble, but also hopeful approach.
Yeah.
They're saying we're going to do our best to get this right.
But
we also know that we need to be
open to feedback.
And change course.
And willing to change course if necessary.
Well, let's hope they stick to that commitment.
Let's hope so.
Well, why don't we take another quick break?
All right.
And when we come back, we will talk about the final part.
Of this deep dive, we've spent this deep dive really unpacking the UK's AI playbook. It's their grand plan for how to navigate AI.
Yeah, this exciting and sometimes a little unnerving world of AI.
Yeah.
It's a bold move putting it all out there.
Yeah, it's very transparent.
Not many governments are doing that.
Right. It's like they're saying, we're not afraid of AI. We see the potential.
Yeah, we see the potential, but we're also not naive.
But we're not naive to the risks.
About the risks.
Yeah, and they're not just talking about it. They're actually putting resources.
Yeah, they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, behind building ethical guidelines, securing systems, making sure that it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
It's a whole of government approach.
Yeah.
which is impressive.
Yeah. It's like they're really trying to bake responsible AI into how the UK operates.
Yeah, into the DNA
Yeah.
of how the UK operates.
And it's not just about the UK itself.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck me is how much they emphasize international implications.
The global implications, yeah.
They want to work with other countries.
Yeah.
To set these international standards.
Yeah, almost like a global rule book.
Yeah.
For responsible AI.
Because AI doesn't stop at borders.
It doesn't stop at borders, no.
No, it's a global phenomenon.
It's a worldwide phenomenon.
And so we need global solutions to the challenges.
Yeah, we need global solutions.
That it brings.
Yeah, and the UK wants to be a leader in that.
They want to be a leader.
Which is ambitious.
It is ambitious. But it makes sense.
It kind of makes sense given their history of innovation.
Yeah. So it's not just about protecting the UK's interests.
It's not just about the UK.
It's about being a responsible global citizen.
Being a responsible global citizen.
Yeah, and making sure that AI is used.
Yeah, and helping to steer AI.
For good, not for harm.
In the right direction.
On a worldwide scale.
Make sure it's a force for good, not for harm.
Yeah, and they're really focused on.
They are really focused on
these issues of bias.
Bias.
And discrimination.
Discrimination, yeah.
Making sure these systems are fair and inclusive.
Making sure these systems are fair and inclusive.
No matter where they're used.
Wherever they're used.
Because we've seen how AI can amplify.
Yeah, we've seen how AI can go wrong.
Existing inequality.
And how it can amplify those existing inequalities.
Even in things like facial recognition, which seems...
Yeah, which seems harmless enough on the surface.
Harmless on the surface.
Doesn't it?
Right. But it's not.
It's not always. It's a bit like the genie's out of the bottle at this point.
The genie is out of the bottle.
AI development is happening everywhere.
It's happening everywhere.
At such a fast pace.
It's moving so fast.
It's hard to even keep up, let alone
get everyone to agree on some kind of ethical framework.
On the same ethical framework.
Yeah.
It is a huge challenge.
It's a massive challenge.
But the UK is taking it seriously.
They are. That's good.
They're committing resources. And they're not alone. There's a growing movement.
Oh, that's encouraging.
Of people and organizations dedicated to making sure that AI is a force for good.
It gives me hope.
Yeah, it should give you hope.
That's good.
We may not have all the answers yet.
We don't have all the answers.
But at least we're asking the right questions.
We're asking the right questions.
And this playbook, even if it's just a starting point,
yeah,
shows a willingness to grapple with those questions.
They're acknowledging the problems.
Yeah, they're acknowledging the problem.
And they're thinking about solutions.
And they're looking for solutions.
This playbook is just a document.
It is just a document.
It's not going to magically fix everything.
It's not going to solve all the problems overnight.
So what happens next?
Well, the real test is going to be how they implement it.
How do they implement these recommendations?
They talk about ongoing monitoring and evaluation.
So they're going to have to check in and make sure that it's actually working?
Yeah, they're going to have to check in, make sure these principles are actually being put into practice.
Are they going to, talk to people?
Yeah, they're going to have to engage with stakeholders.
So, industry experts, civil society groups, the public?
Industry experts, civil society, the public.
Get feedback.
Make adjustments.
And make adjustments along the way.
So it's not a one and done.
It's not a set it and forget it.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process of learning and adapting.
They acknowledge that this is just the beginning of the conversation.
It's just the start of the conversation.
Yeah.
They see this playbook as a living document.
It's going to evolve.
It's going to evolve as the field of AI develops.
As we learn more.
As we understand more about the benefits and the risks.
Well, that's encouraging.
It's a good approach.
Yeah. It's refreshing to see a government that's thinking about the future of AI.
Yeah, they're thinking about the future.
But also willing to admit they don't have all the answers. Yeah, and they're admitting that they don't have all the answers, which is a humble approach.
It's humble, but it's hopeful.
It's humble, but it's hopeful.
Like they're saying, we're going to do our best to get this right.
We're going to try our best.
But we also know that we need to be open to feedback.
We need to be open to feedback.
And willing to change course if necessary.
And we might have to change course along the way.
Let's hope they stick to that commitment.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I think that's a great place to wrap up this deep dive into the UK's AI playbook.
It's been a fascinating discussion.
What a fascinating document.
I hope our listeners have found it insightful.
Yeah, and maybe even inspiring.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be following AI.
It is an exciting time to be following AI.
It's moving so fast.
Yeah.
It's going to have such a huge impact on all our lives.
Yeah, so it's important to be informed, engage with policymakers.
Yeah, make your voice heard.
Make your voice heard.
The future of AI is literally in our hands.
So let's make it a future we can all be proud of. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.